What does it mean to honor your father and your mother? Does it mean doing what they say?
Have a good day.
Don't tell me what to do.
Well, what if your father tells you to worship other gods? Or what if your mother tells you to go steal something or murder someone? There can't be that glaring a contradiction in the first 10 commandments that God gives us. He can't be that dumb, can he?
Are you stupid or something?
I'm as stupid as stupid does.
Or maybe, is there something deeper going on with this commandment that just a little bit of study and a little bit of paying attention might get us to? Of course it's the latter, and that's what we're talking about this week. Hello all, I'm the Mad Pastor, and Christianity sucks, it's boring, it's out of date, it's irrelevant, but it doesn't have to be. Let me explain why. Yes, we are continuing our march through the 10 commandments, and we are at the fifth commandment. Yeah, the fifth commandment, honor your father and your mother. And we're going to talk about why that is so important and why this language is so specifically used. So I am going to be reading from the Bible, and it's very short, so just stick with me. You don't have to skip anything. It's Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. It sounds like this. Honor your father and your mother so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. So first thing we need to talk about is the word honor. It's intentionally vague. This is the Hebrew word kabed or kabid. I can't quite tell. But it essentially means to add weight. So the literalists among you who keep on talking crap about me on my own channel, you would have to fatten up your father and your mother if you were going to be a literalist about this particular commandment. It means feed them until they gain weight. Of course, that's not what it really means. This is much more of a turn of phrase, which it implies, adding weight implies like make them proud, make them higher status. In some more specific context, it might mean literally to add wealth, to take care of them and increase their literal economic status. But probably what it really means is increase their status, make them proud, make them respected by other people. And how do you do that? Well, you do that with your own behavior. Before we continue, I want to remind you that we, for the foreseeable future, are collecting funds for a group called Zoe Empowers. They quite literally empower communities with skills and entrepreneurial education to make their own businesses and make an economy and a living in their own community. We've been assigned a community in Rwanda, and every dollar you give to this channel goes directly to helping those people. So please use the QR code over here or any of the links down below, or you can mail a check P.O. Box down below to Kindred UMC, and all of that will go to help the people in Rwanda that we are getting to know as we speak. So let's continue. So something to talk about here is how do we respect and honor our father and our mother? Well, you may have been told by pastors in the past that that means that you must obey them, that it's do whatever they say. But of course, that's not true. Sometimes doing what your parents say brings dishonor. Sometimes it's not the best way to love or respect them. Sometimes you have to go against their wishes. Sometimes honoring them in the hospital, I was a chaplain, sometimes honoring them literally means allowing them to die with dignity, which is not necessarily obeying them, but it is part of this commandment. Sometimes honoring them is to disagree with them and to say that what you're doing is wrong and what you're doing is lowering your status. Everyone is embarrassed about what you're doing. Sometimes it's disobeying and confronting them. So this word honor, to add weight, it's intentionally vague, and it's left to the Christian, or in this case the Hebrew, the faithful follower of Yahweh's interpretation. It's up to them to decide what is best to add weight, to give honor and respect to their father and mother. The next thing I want to talk about that's pretty insane if you think about it is it's honor your father and your mother. You got to remember, this was written in a context of an incredibly patriarchal system of government, system of society. They were just freed from Egypt, and they were going into the land of Canaan. And so a lot of these laws are written in response to the societal norms that were there. And it's remarkable that in such an ancient text of laws and communal governing, that the law says, honor your father and your mother. This is a radically egalitarian stance to take in the context in which it was written. It's not just honor your father. It's not just bring honor to the patriarch of the family. It's honor your father and your mother. And that's an incredible thing for an ancient law to have codified in its top 10. Finally, we have to talk about the audience that this was written for. Most people, when they hear honor your father and mother, they think about children obeying their parents, but that's not who this law was written at. This law was written at adults with elderly family members. So again, written in contrast to the societies, Egypt and Canaan. What happens when somebody becomes elderly? They can no longer produce. They can't farm land, or they can't herd goats, or they can't blacksmith anymore. That, whatever task or job they had that made them valuable to the community, when they become elderly, they become infirmed and they can't do that work anymore. And so what do? Well, it's another mouth to feed that's not producing. You get rid of them. Maybe you take them out into the wilderness and leave them there and let them die out there of exposure or whatever. But you have some way of essentially dealing with the elderly who are no longer producing. This law says to adults with elderly parents, honor your father and your mother. Even though they are elderly and they may be infirmed and they may not be able to produce, they have value. They have human value. They have the image of God, their creator, imprinted upon their soul. This is more than just do what your parents say. This is a statement about this new society, this new Israelite culture's value of every human life having divine image of God imprintation on each and every person, even the people who aren't producing and don't have potential to produce anymore. So ultimately, this law has more than just your family, more than just your father and your mother, but it has implications for how we treat the elderly in general, how we treat people who are born with handicaps, how we treat people who lose limbs because of war or because of workplace accidents, or you name it. It even has, if you stretch it far enough, implications about how we view attractiveness. None of these are measures of human worth, of human value. These are all worldly standards, and there is a divine standard that we must base our society around and that you must base your faith around, that says every human soul has divine value and has the potential for divine purpose if they will cooperate with God's will in their life. And so our job is not to get rid of the weak, but instead to encourage, nurture, and take care of every human soul because of Yahweh's proclamation that they have divine value. So, I've been the Mad Pastor. This has been the Fifth Commandment. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.